All right, thank you very much. Good evening, Captain Tayo once more. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for this great privilege. It's an honor. Okay, today we're still on the topic of on the code LSA code, life saving appliance code, and I'll be here to share my little experience and knowledge with everyone, and also I'm open to learn more from everyone. So today we are going, our course outline is actually rescue boats, chapter 5 and chapter 6, which is launching an embarkation of appliance, marine evacuation system. So first of all, the objective of this, okay, sure. Sorry. So first of all, our objective of this course is going to be understanding what a rescue boat is. And to me, a rescue boat is actually designed to rescue persons from the water and also to muster a life raft. So number one, we are going to understand what a rescue boat is and its purpose, types of rescue boats, general requirements, and the additional requirements of a fast rescue boat. And for chapter 6, it's understanding the launching and embarkation of appliances. Know the general requirements. Launching appliances used for free fall, for a fall and winch. Using fall and a winch, sorry to say. Float-free launching. Launching appliances for free fall lifeboats. Embarkation ladder. Launching appliances for fast boats, marine evacuation system, 8 constructions of marine evacuation systems. Then how these evacuation systems are being performed. And we are going to know the containers of marine evacuation system, its marking too. So I'm going to start by defining what a lifeboat is. Sorry, pardon me, a rescue boat, correction. A rescue boat is designed to rescue persons for survivors, that is survivors from the water, and marshal a life raft, or you can also use the word muster. It is designed and constructed to comply with the requirements of Chapter 5, which is rescue boats that we are dealing on today. For me, I wasn't really opportune to it's not my place because then I was a cadet. But all I could do was just to watch my officers doing their thing, and I learned from them. The maintenance was done, the engine maintenance was done by fourth engineer, sometimes chief engineer, while the maintenance of the rescue boat was done by third officer. And most times the chief mate is always there to monitor. And we don't usually launch these boats when underway. We usually launch it during port, when we are at port, when we are at berth, and when there is no operation, because it's actually a container ship. I think it's usually done every 3 months to launch a rescue boat. The reason why a rescue boat is being launched is in case of emergency, you don't get caught unaware. It helps you to be prepared ahead of time. So these things are done for that purpose, to avoid complacency. So oftentimes we do it. It's actually, we do it all through my cadetship period. I witnessed when we launched all the life-saving appliances, the rescue boats. I even took a picture for memory purpose. Then we will be looking at types of rescue boats. We have the rigid one and inflatable. Then also the combined, which is rigid inflatable. Because I had to go through a lot of research to make me understand how these things work. Apparently, I know over time I'm going to have more experience on it, like to be able to do it practically. So the rigid, vessel, I think it's just rigid type. Usually my vessel is over 25,000 gross tonnage, a container ship, and it's we have one rescue boat. It's at the port side of the vessel. Then we're looking at the general requirements. The general requirement is actually applicable to that of a lifeboat. So if we go through the manual, you have to go back to read chapter 4. The same, but just some exemptions, because the rescue boat is built in a different form. And also it also gives room for 5 persons depending on its capacity. And an extra, like a space for a casualty on a stretcher or a person on a stretcher. So that's how the rescue boat is. And so going further, we're going to be looking at the general lifeboat. That's why I just had to simplify. Not really all. There are some parts that have been exempted. If we go through, you're going to see it, except from excluding 4.8 and so on. So it has to be properly constructed. It has to be properly constructed. And then it has to have an ankle stability. That is, when it is being launched, it doesn't have to, how am I going to put it? It has to be stable. Then another attribute requirement is that it should be capable of being safely launched under all conditions. And then the trim should be up to 10 degrees, and the least of 20. My class, sorry. I'm having some. So, pardon me, we have to mute this part. Okay, so going further, sorry guys, I'm a bit sick because I have to arrange myself very well. Okay, I'm back. Can you really hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. And I think we can all hear you. Thank you.
All right. So I listed a little few of the general requirements for a rescue boat, which is the construction, and then the stability. And it has to have a rigid hull. Then it shall have a permanently approved affixed template, plate, endorsed by the administration or its representative, containing at least the following items, which is the manufacturer's name and address, rescue boat model, the serial number of persons. The number of persons is essential because you don't want to carry overload when using the rescue boat. And as per SOLAS, you have to meet this requirement, or else it's going to be a fine. It's going to be am I right with the word? You're going to be fined during inspections.
Are you going to be fined, or there's going to be like a non-conformity or a deficiency that will be noted?
Yeah, there will be a deficiency. Thank you, sir. A deficiency that will be noted during inspection, or if found wanting or wanted. So Then the month and the year of the construction of the rescue boat has to be visible. And then the approval information, number of the certificate of the approval, and then material of the whole construction, total mass. The total mass is compulsory. You have to note all that. So as an officer, you have to take note of all these things, because during inspection, you'll be asked a number of questions. And sometimes you cannot carry all this information, but you should know where to get this information. So that's more of it. If you read further, go through the notes, or see more of the requirements needed for a rescue boat, the general requirements. So moving further, we'll be talking about, is there any question on these general requirements? Any question?
Maybe the questions
you can
will
go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, you can go ahead.
Okay. In the absence of no questions, I'll go ahead. Thank you very much, sir. So moving further, we'll be talking about the additional requirement for a fast rescue boat. Just a moment. I have an addition to make to the general requirement. Talking about the number of persons. Some rescue boats are 5 persons. I think I mentioned it earlier. And then the helmsman seat is different. It has to be 2 on the port side and 2 on the starboard side. Then with a space given for a survivor or a casualty on the stretcher. Okay. Okay. The rescue boat, we'll be looking at sorry, hold on. Okay, so the rescue boat has an average of 82.5 kg. Am I correct? So for all rescue boats, an average mass of 82.5 kg shall apply. And then the lifeboat may be approved and used as a rescue boat if it meets the requirements of this section. So sometimes, in some cases, a lifeboat can be used in place of a rescue boat, only if it meets the requirements. You can't just use a rescue boat, a lifeboat for a rescue boat when it doesn't meet the requirements. It will become a deficiency. So we have to take note of that. Then, if it is the other hand, a lifeboat may be approved and used as a rescue boat if it meets all the requirements of this section. If it successfully completes the testing for a rescue boat required in Regulation 3/4.2, and its stowage, launching, and recovery arrangement on the ship meets all of the requirements for a rescue boat. So 5.1.1, that's it. Notwithstanding the requirement of paragraph 4.4.4, required buoyant material for rescue boat may be installed external to the hull, provided it is adequately protected against damage and it's capable of withstanding exposure as specified. So it has to be, let's say, heat resistant. Should I use that word? But there was a certain time I had this experience where my chief mate asked me to prepare a canvas to cover our rescue boat because of the heat or something, because it was a bit fading. And then I think during winter, that was when we used it because the ice, I can't really tell why, but just protect it. I had to prepare the canvas.
Well,
Then, so we
most
used
times, let me chip in. Most times, you put a canvas to cover to prevent exposure to. When you say exposure to weather elements, it covers everything, either the sun, the cold, and different things. So I think the right word would be like weather elements, huh? Seawater, everything encompassing. Do you agree with me?
I agree. I agree. Thank you. Either rigid or inflatable constructed, like I earlier said, the types of rescue boats, which is rigid, inflatable. I, I watched a video that actually showed the inflatable, and I kind of that inflatable is being used for particular type of person. Okay, so moving further, the inflatable, rigid or inflated construction or a combination of both shall have less than 8 meters. We are talking about the length right now. It shouldn't be less than 3.8 meters, and then not more than 8.5 meters in length for the rescue boat. Even if it's rigid or inflated, the length should not be less than 3.8 meters. And then not more than 8.5 meters in length. And five-seated persons, like I earlier said, and a person lying on a stretcher, all wearing immersion suit and life jacket. I didn't really explain that one. When embarking on a rescue boat, an immersion suit should be worn for protection, like for thermal protection, because when you're exposed to cold, um, it's really dangerous for the health. So that's why it's advisable to put on your immersion suit and then a life jacket. The
Okay.
immersion suit helps regulate your body temperature.
Anita, so just a quick
So,
one again. So immersion suits will depend on the area you're trading. So yes, you were trading in Europe and in winter, yes, you need immersion suits. For those that are trading in the tropics, maybe for example, Nigeria or Ghana, they might not need immersion suits because they might even have exemption to carry immersion suits on their vessels. So yes, standard, depending on your trading area, you should be able to use
okay,
but life jackets will be standard for everybody at least.
okay, noted, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. So then the seat, notwithstanding sitting except for the helmsman. I earlier said that the sitting it's like the helmsman is on the engine side, so he says the rescue boat, and then maybe provided on the floor, and then that's that one. We've talked about the seating arrangement, and then but altered to an overall length of 1,190 mm to provide for extended legs. So I think because of the height of people, they had to create, there has to be a space for that purpose. Then the rescue boats, which are a combination of rigid and inflated constructions, shall comply with the appropriate requirements of the section to the satisfaction of the administration. I've earlier mentioned that. And then unless the rescue boat has adequate share, it shall be provided with a bow cover extended for not less than 15% of its length. Every rescue boat shall be provided sufficient fuel suitable use throughout temperature range exposed. So the rescue boat should be able to maintain, as in to last for at least 4 hours with at least 6 knots. Like it should be capable of maneuvering at a speed of at least 6 knots and maintaining that speed for a period of at least 4 hours when loaded with its full complement of persons and equipment. So please, we have to take note of the hours and the knots. The knots for the speed at least the rescue boat should be 6 knots.
Okay.
And then for a period of 4 hours.
Is that for the amount of fuel that should be available in the rescue boat?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's fine. So noted for the amount of fuel.
Okay. Yes, for the amount of fuel.
Yeah, just before we continue, I think Engineer Obong is raised his hand. So let us hear from him. Engineer Obong, you have a question for us or a contribution at this point?
I have a question, Cap.
Yeah, please go ahead. Anita is listening.
Okay, she talked about everybody wearing the immersion suit or when you're on the rescue boat. My question is that in the event of emergency, are we going to launch that before we board, or we have this immersion suit inside the rescue boat for the number of people that are on board? That's my question.
All right, thanks. Anita, so do you have an answer to this?
I think, sir, you earlier answered that question that the general requirement is a life jacket. It's not in the rescue boat itself because there's how do they call it again? Sorry, it's in the safety locker. I think so. Yeah, that's where you get it.
All right, so let me help. Let me help this way. So every vessel will have their own muster list and their LSA, LSA and FFA requirements. It should be in your plan. So we have to follow what's in our plan based on the type of vessel. Some vessels will have additional life jackets for rescue boats. Some will not have additional. They will expect you to maybe take it from general locker. So different vessels will have different arrangements. So that's why it's very important that when we go on a vessel, we should do our familiarization with that vessel, with the LSA equipment on that vessel and the arrangement on that vessel. So for vessels that, when I was on the gas carriers, we had life jackets and immersion suits for rescue boats. So for rescue boats, we had that separately. Some vessels that have been on, they don't have it. They have somewhere in emergency locker in their deck and says, once there's an emergency, even the rescue boats team go and pick your life jackets, and they didn't require immersion suit because they were in the tropics. I hope that answered that question.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you, sir.
So moving further, we're going to so that part has been answered. Thank you very much. And thank you very much, Engineer Ebon, for asking two questions. Arrangement of towing shall be permanently fitted in rescue boat and shall be sufficiently strong to marshal and tow life raft as required by the paragraph. Like I earlier defined it, that the rescue boat is used to rescue survivors from the water, and also it's designed to marshal a life raft. And then, unless expressly provided otherwise, every rescue boat shall be provided with effective means of bailing or be automatically self-bailing. We all know what that means, that if water comes in case of rain, either you have a bail to fetch out the water, and then some are constructed that automatically there's a hole that enables the water now. It depends on the type of your vessel. The rescue boat shall be fitted with weather tight. So we also have, that is the general requirement. Every rescue boat shall be aft, and both sides is provided for the control and steering position for safe launching and maneuvering from the, and then and steering regard to visibility of areas. And then during man overboard too, mostly they use these rescue boats during man overboard retrieval and marshalling of survival craft. So we're done with the general requirements. Then the rescue boat equipment, we have all items for rescue boat equipment with exception of boat hooks, which shall be kept free for fending off purposes. I was watching a video of these boat hooks. Let me try to remember what it says. Captain Tayo, can you please throw more light on this part? That it should, with the exception of boat hooks, which shall be kept free from fending off purposes.
I'll come back to that part. I have someone next to me at the moment. I'll come back to it. What section is it?
Okay. It's section 5.1.2.1, rescue boat equipment.
Okay, I'll come back to that part.
Okay, sir, thank you. Then it shall be secured within the rescue boat by lashing. And storage lockers or compartments, storage in brackets, or similar mounting arrangements, or other suitable means. The equipment shall be secured in such a manner as not to interfere with any launching or recovering procedures. All items of rescue boat equipment shall be as small and of a little mass as possible, and shall be packed in suitable compact form. Well, I watched the video of the launching of rescue boat, and also physically I've seen it, where the hook, we have the, I went to draw, I revisited my notes too. So there's this hook reset lever, and then the main hook, then the onboard release wire, then the release lever, automatic release wire. Is actually the release hook anyways. Moving further, then the normal equipment of every rescue boat shall consist of sufficient buoyant hose or paddles. Now, these paddles, it's used during, most times we use it to save fuel, like when in calm, I think not really in calm water, during rough weathers. Yeah, so then the tow pins, crushes, or...
So 1 minute, you're talking about the paddle here, is it?
Yes, the paddles.
So what?
In calm seas, it's used during calm seas.
So what when your engine breaks down, what will you do, for example?
You still use that one. You can use it.
Okay, so the use of the paddle is there as an alternative to your engine, and sometimes that might be the best thing to do, because maybe you are in a very shallow area sometimes, and you have to raise your engine up to approach a particular area sometimes. So you use the paddle to paddle yourself in, and some vessels as well, maybe you might just have to stop your engine when you're going close and you're paddling, different things, but the paddle is very useful as an alternative to your main engine.
Oh, okay, thank you very much.
Yeah. Sorry, the section that you said you wanted me to talk about is 5 point what again?
5.1.1.
Okay, 5.1.
About the exception of boat hooks that it's not meant to be on the, they said all items of rescue boat equipment, with exception of boat hooks, which shall be kept free from the fending off purpose.
Okay.
Free for fending off purposes.
That's 5.1.4.
2.1.
Okay.
5.1.21.
All right, then that's fine. So you continue, and I'll get back to that by the end of the class.
Oh, okay, sir.
Thank you.
And then we have the buoyant bailer. The tall pins or crushes shall be attached to the boat by lanyards or chains. And then we also have a binnacle containing an efficient compass, which is luminous or provided with suitable means of illumination. Then it's a sea anchor and keeping line, if fitted with hawser of adequate strength, not less than 10 meters in length. I think the way when they said if fitted, which means not every vessel, if fitted with a hawser of adequate strength, not less than 10 meters in length. I actually don't really understand, but I know of the sea anchors. Sometimes you use it during drifting. Then a painter of sufficient length and strength. I've seen the painter, it's used to, I think, attach the rescue boat. Then the buoyant line, not less than 50 meters in length, of sufficient strength to tow a life raft as required. Then one waterproof electric torch is a necessity. The suitable for Morse code signaling with one set of batteries and one spare bulb in a waterproof container. One whistle, you have to get the whistle, the first aid outfit, and then 2 buoyant rescue quotes, a searchlight with a horizontal and vertical sector of at least 6 degrees, and a measured luminous intensity of 2,500 candles, which can work continuously for not less than 3 hours. This is used during night time. Then we have thermal protective aids complying with the requirement of section 2.1 sufficient for 10% of the number of persons the rescue boat is permitted to accommodate, or 2, whichever is greater. And then portable fire extinguishing equipment of an approved type suitable for extinguishing oil fire. So moving further, in addition to the equipment required by a rescue boat, the normal equipment of every rigid rescue boat shall include a boat hook. Note, this is a rigid rescue boat, not inflatable. So a rigid rescue boat shall include a boat hook, a bucket, and a knife or hatchet. Then in addition required, the normal equipment of every inflatable rescue boat shall consist of a buoyant safety knife that cannot sink even if it falls into the water. Then 2 sponges, an efficient manually operated bellows or pump, a repair kit in a suitable container for repairing punctures, and a safety boat hook.
So we are back to the boat hook again. We talked about the boat hook, and I remember from the section you mentioned about 5.1.2.1 talking about all the items, rescue boat equipment, except for the boat hook. So which for fending off. So what that really means is when you want to cast off when you lower your boats into the water and you want to cast off from the vessel, you might need the boat hooks to push yourself, to get off the place. So every other equipment is expected to be lashed down except for the boat hook when you have one.
Oh, okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Then an inflatable rescue boat shall be constructed in such a way that when suspended by its bridle or lifting hook, it is of sufficient strength and rigidity to enable it to be lowered or recovered with its full complement of persons. We talked about the stability, the strength. So it has to have sufficient strength and rigidity. Then it has to have sufficient strength to withstand the load of 4 times the mass of its full complement. That is when fully loaded with the required number of persons on board or either equipment, as the case may be. But it should be able to withstand the load 4 times, not just once. So when you see that there's like the boat is a bit it's least, you know that maybe it's overweight or it's capsizing or something, I don't know. But it has to be able to complement the load that it carries. And then it has to withstand an ambient temperature of 20 degrees minus or plus 3 degrees centigrade with a relief valve inoperative. The sufficient strength also should withstand a load of 1.1 times the mass of its full complement of persons and equipment at an ambient temperature of minus 30 degrees Celsius, with all relief valves operative. Note that point 2 is inoperative, 20 plus or minus 3 degrees, with all relief valves. So that's that. Inflated rescue boats shall be so constructed as to be capable of withstanding exposure, like I earlier explained. The inflatable rescue boat should be able to withstand exposure when towed on an open deck on a ship at sea, and also for 30 days afloat in all sea conditions. For the inflatable rescue boat, it should be able to withstand the exposure for at least 30 days in all weather conditions, whether winter, summer, autumn, it should be able to withstand all sea conditions. Even if it's rough weather, it should be. And then in addition to complying with the requirements of the paragraph, inflated rescue boats shall be marked with serial numbers, like we earlier mentioned at the beginning of our topic today. The buoyancy of an inflated rescue boat shall be provided by either a single tube subdivided into at least 5 separate compartments of approximately equal volume, or 2 separate tubes, neither exceeding 60 degrees of the total volume. The buoyancy tubes shall be so arranged that the intact compartments shall be able to support the number of persons which the rescue boat is permitted to accommodate, each having a mass of 82.5 kg when seated in the boat's entire periphery under the following conditions. With the forward buoyancy compartment deflated, with the entire buoyancy on one side of the rescue boat deflated, and with the entire buoyancy on one side and the bow compartment deflated. Captain Tayo, please, when they say deflated, does it mean that after inflating? Like, could you please explain this part?
If it is deflated, it should still meet this requirement. For example, if one of the buoyancy pots section is deflated, the others, you should still be able to float. Not that one section is deflated, because they are in compartments. Don't forget, there is not just one. Most of these inflatable rescue boats, it's not like you do one. When you are filling it up, you don't fill it up from one. You don't fill it up from one angle or one area alone. So one area might be just the forward section. You fill up another side of the aft, so that the idea is that you don't. When one part is deflated, everything doesn't just sink.
Okay. Yeah. I get it. Thank you very much for that clarity. And then the buoyancy tube forming the boundary of inflated rescue boat shall, on inflation, provide a volume of not less than 0.17 meters cube for each person the rescue boat is permitted to accommodate. So we'll just breeze. So each buoyancy compartment shall be fitted with a non-return valve for manual inflation or means of deflation. Captain Tayo has clearly explained it for us, and that makes us to understand that even if it's deflated on one side, it can sink. It should also always meet this requirement. And then underneath the bottom and on vulnerable places, on the outside of the inflated rescue boat. Rubbing strips shall be provided to the satisfaction of the administration. So what is the rubbing strips? Okay. Where a transom is fitted, it shall not be inset by more than 20% of the overall length of the rescue boat. And then the additional requirement for fast rescue boats. A fast rescue boat shall be constructed to be capable of being safely launched and retrieved under adverse weather and sea conditions. Except as provided by this section, all fast rescue boats shall comply with the requirements of section 5.1, which is the rescue boat requirement. And then except for other paragraph. Then notwithstanding, fast rescue boat shall have a hull length of not less than 6 meters and not more than 8.5 meters. So I think we have the normal rescue boat. Earlier I said it should not be less than 3.8 meters and not more than 8.5 meters. So for the fast rescue boat, we are meant to understand that the length, so it shall have a hull length of not less than 6 meters and not more than 8.5 meters, including inflated structures or fitted or fixed fenders. The fast rescue boats shall be provided with sufficient fuel suitable for use throughout the temperature range expected in the area in which the ship operates, and be capable of maneuvering for a period of at least 4 hours at a speed of at least 20 knots in calm weather with a crew of 3 persons and at least 8 knots when loaded with its full complement of persons. Captain, I have a question.
Ahead. You can go ahead.
Yeah. For the fast rescue boat, I noticed that the measurement, the length of the hull is different. And then the capacity of persons that was mentioned there is with a crew of 3 persons. Is it that you can carry more than that? Why is it like that?
Okay, so good question. So when I go to vessels, I ask them, which do you have on your vessel? Do you have a rescue boat or a fast rescue boat? And people are because they like to big up themselves. They say, oh, we have a fast rescue boat. So I say, are you sure it's a fast rescue boat or a rescue boat? So it's a big quanta, especially for those in the offshore section. Okay, so back to your question. The speed, like you said, if you're doing a fast rescue boat, you should be able to do up to 20 knots if you carry 3 people. Okay. But the full complement is always written on it. So it's still going to be this 5 plus 1 or whatever it is. And that's when your speed can drop down to about 8 knots. But when you have 3 people on it, you should be able to do up to 20 knots. So you can still do more. You can carry more people. It's not that the maximum.
I can hear you.
It's not that the maximum is 3. You can carry more than 3 people.
All right. Thank you very much. I'm doing it. Class. I'm having it. They said. Sorry. Okay. Then thank you, sir. I had an interruption earlier. So fast rescue boat shall be self-righting and capable of being readily righted by not more than 2 self-righting or capable of being readily righted by not more than 2 of their crew. Why is it not more than 2, sir?
So the idea about writing is in case it's collapses, it capsizes, you know, because it's fast. And if you have if it capsizes, people that have okay, if you look at your mandatories, let's go back to the STCW. You see people have personal survival, you know, and all that, and you see the ones that have other than fast rescue boats. So those that have fast rescue, they are actually trained on not just how to ride it, but how to, if it capsizes, how to turn it over as well. So it's like our life raft as well. Don't forget the life raft. If you launch it and it's upside down, you should be able to to turn it upright as well. So that's the same philosophy. But they don't. Two people should be able to turn it. That's what it means.
Oh, okay. Thank you. The fast rescue boat shall be self-bailing and be capable of being rapidly clear of water. Unlike the normal rescue boat, this one, it should be self-bailing. Okay, thank you. The fast rescue boat shall be steered by a wheel at the helmsman position remote for the tiller, an emergency steering system providing direct control of the rudder, water jet, or outboard motor shall also be provided. Engines in fast rescue boats shall stop automatically or be stopped by the helmsman's emergency release switch. Should the rescue boat capsize? Should the rescue boat capsize? So this part is trying to let us know that the engine can either automatically stop or be stopped by the helmsman emergency release switch. So there's a switch. If the engine doesn't automatically stop, you can press the switch, the helmsman emergency release switch, to stop it. That when the rescue boat has righted, each engine or motor shall be capable of being restarted, provided that the helmsman emergency release, if fitted, has been reset. The design of the fuel and lubricating systems shall prevent the loss of more than 250 milliliters of fuel and lubricating oil from the propulsion system should the rescue boat capsize, which means that as much as you're maintaining this fast rescue boat, in case of these situations, it shouldn't have a loss of 250 milliliters of fuel or lubricating oil from the propulsion system. If that means it's already faulty or something else had happened. Fast rescue boats shall, if possible, be equipped with an easily or safely operated fixed single point suspension arrangement or equivalent. A rigid fast rescue boat shall be constructed in such a way that when suspended by its lifting point, it is of sufficient strength to withstand a load of 4 times the mass of its full complement of persons and equipment without residual deflection upon removal of the load. The normal equipment of a fast rescue boat shall include VHF radio communication set, which is hand-free and watertight. I've actually seen that for communication purpose. So that's the end of our rescue boat. Any question?
Yeah, thank you, Anita. I don't know if anybody has any question, please ask now. I think you've done a brilliant job. I really do appreciate this. We've been able to see the difference between a rescue boat and a fast rescue boat and the requirements. So again, the purpose of going through this chapters by chapter is to allow people the opportunity to see the source of what they have on board. You know, you can always go back, and if you see your list of items on your rescue boat, compare it with what is in the code. If it is not enough, then that means there's a problem somewhere. You can know what to request for, you know, and all that. And when you're requesting, you have to request for the right item, you know. So there's no point requesting for something because you've seen it on another ship and it comes and it doesn't meet the requirements. What type of bailer do you need to have? What is your outboard engine? Are you a fast rescue boat or a rescue boat? if a fast rescue boat, do you need a VHF? It's like, oh, the VHF is not working. Like, if it's not working, no problem now. It should be just VHF. But you don't know if it's a requirement by SOLAS that you should have it, then you should have it. So it's not really just for penalties during inspections or observations during inspections. That's not the idea. The idea is to see that when we go to sea, we are safe enough, because, you know, who knows who will fall overboard and they need to rescue the person, all right? So those are the reasons why we are going through this. I really do appreciate you. Thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure. Have you read this?
Thank you very much,
I
sir.
mean, from before reading this, and of course, you've gone to see and reading this now, how do you feel, you know, being able to read it and sharing it with us? How do you feel about it?
I feel very elated, like that I'm able to get more insight on it. You know, sometimes when you're reading it, sometimes it's boring, especially when you're not on board. But having participated in the class and like doing it myself made me realize that there were things that I didn't know, and I'm getting to know more of it, because even when I was on board, sometimes my officers don't really have that time to explain to me, and it's not everything I have access to get. And I'm really happy that I can actually learn more. I have learned more in this section, and it's still going to help me in time to come.
Okay, thank you so much for that. And I hope that's the same experience with everybody that is on the call today, that yes, when you see it, you read about it, you go back there next time, you say, oh, that thing that they're talking in that book, this is it, you know? So we just need to continue. It's like the Kaizen theory, you know, continuous improvement, and knowledge is where it comes from. So I say readers are lovers. Sorry, readers are leaders. And we all need to continue reading and all that point. So these are the things, these are the dots, things that dot our I's and cross our T's. This is this is what makes us professionals, hold up our licenses and all that. So thank you very much. I don't know if anybody has any question. There's somebody that has dropped a chat. Let me open it. Let me see. I hope it's a question. Sharing the screen. Okay. I think we didn't have a. Okay, maybe next time we can do like a proper presentation. Maybe so that maybe somebody that wants to do PDF, what do you call it? PowerPoint presentation.
PDF.
Yeah, PowerPoint presentation might be able to share a screen. Anyway, so that's it from me. I don't know if anybody has any question. Please, you can ask Anita why she's here.
No question. Brilliant presentation. Thank you so much, Anita.
You're welcome, sir. Thank you too.
Yeah, thank you, Anita. As though I was the one that dropped the questions, please, I think in subsequent, let's try and make the class in presentation mode, like putting it in PowerPoint so that we can also follow along. Thank you so much. You have done a great job.
Thank you, sir. Noted.
All right, guys, that will be the end of today's class. So next week we'll be doing chapter 6. I think Olatobi, are you ready for chapter 6?
All right, I'll prepare ahead, sir.
Okay, so we have you for chapter 6 next week. I think you'll be having Captain Josh that will be the one to moderate that class.